My name is Margaret Wong, and I'm extremely honored and with great pleasure here to be with you to interview and have a conversation with Melody Chu. I don't know if Melody remembers, she probably don't, but I am a very, very good friend to her parents for years and years and years. Her parents built an amazing, amazing church organization. And when I was a young lawyer, I would do all their work. We would go for Sunday services, Saturday services, and we all volunteer for the church. But through the years, of course, then I got married, my children was young, but Mr. Titus Chu, Melody's father and mother, just keep going there and keep working. Now the church is all over the world, and it's amazing. And look at their daughter. I remember the mom, I think either pregnant with her sister or her, with that big stomach. We are all trying to cook food for service for the congregation. Look at her now. She's just an amazing young lady, and she's of my children's generation. So today I want to introduce her, and with her first book, and don't underestimate her. She's humble, she's kind, she's generous, but she's a graduate from Princeton, all the school that all of us parents want our kids to go to, and she got there. And Melody, can you introduce yourself to our listeners and to us?
Sure. Thank you so much, Margaret. I want to say, I don't remember when I was very small meeting you, but I definitely heard your name and knew of you as the lawyer who helped all of the Chinese community in Cleveland when I was growing up. And so when your team reached out to me for this interview, I was really excited and happy to talk to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I was born and raised on the west side of Cleveland in Fairview Park neighborhood. And I went to Birchwood School of Hawken, well, now it's called Birchwood School of Hawken, on the west side for elementary school, and then Hathaway Brown for high school. After HB, I went to Princeton, as you said, and it was at Princeton that I really got interested in studying Chinese language and Chinese culture. And I think it was because when I grew up at home, we didn't speak Chinese, and I didn't go to Chinese school. And so when I actually had a taste of studying it, I got very excited. And I spent a summer studying in Beijing and decided that, this is what I want to do. Somehow I want to work in China. That made me kind of look into the law, and I ended up going to Harvard Law School. And then after Harvard, I went to Hong Kong for 5 years, and then Beijing for another 5 years, working for a big British firm, like a huge international law firm doing finance. And then during my time in Beijing, my daughter was born, Violet. And when she was about 2, my husband graduated from medical school. And I was like, I think it's time to go back home because it wasn't a great place to have a 2-year-old, basically. The air at that time was not great, and there were issues with food safety. And so we came back to Cleveland because it's like the best place to raise kids. So since then, I've had 2 more kids. And then I was still working for that British firm, but remotely for their New York office. And in 2021, I decided to step back, and I wanted to try writing. I used to love creative writing when I was younger, and when I was in high school, my dream job was kind of to be a writer. And but when I was a lawyer and when I had my first kids, I just didn't have the mental space or the emotional space to try to do something like writing while I was raising kids and working in the law. So in 2021, I stepped back and I tried writing a novel, and I wrote one, and it wasn't great. And then I wrote another one, and I think it's pretty good. And so Mathey Girls is the result of that. Yeah.
Here's the book. And it's an amazing book. And another question I have, which is interesting, is how does your parents feel about it when you decided to quit the law after Princeton and Harvard and oh my gosh. And of course your parents have some wealth because, first generation, we work hard and hard. So how do you feel about that, suddenly quitting and becoming a writer and from Harvard? Oh my God! I know it's Princeton. I didn't know it's Harvard. Yes.
Yeah. I think I'm very lucky because my parents have always been very supportive of kind of what I wanted to do. I think they were pretty surprised, but also happy when I said, "Oh, I want to go to China." Actually, like that is not something that they raised us with that kind of goal, and I kind of discovered it on my own. But they were very supportive, and they think they saw the kind of stress and the toll that it took to, do a good job and work really hard in that kind of international finance world. And so Well, my mom passed away when Violet was young, but my dad was very supportive, actually. I don't know if you know, but loves literature, actually, and loves books. So
And
to
he
him,
wrote
and he
a lot
writes,
of
yes,
books.
and he has written many
he-
books.
Mr. Titus Chu, or Reverend Titus Chu, wrote a lot of books. The whole Chu family, which there are 3 brothers or 4 brothers, right?
There's, I think, 6 brothers.
6 brothers,
yeah.
but they're
Or 7 brothers,
amazing.
yeah.
They're very famous from Taiwan, and they've started in America when they were very young. So the Chu brothers, a lot of people knew, at least in my generation, and all their kids are growing up. And the kids compete, you know, I mean, at least I watch them. I mean, we all watch each other's kids and say, oh, they go to Harvard, I have to go to Yale. Oh, Yale is Princeton, you know, so it's really fun to get to talk to Melody for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so my dad was actually quite supportive. I think I personally felt like I didn't really have to prove anything anymore. You know, I had worked in the law for almost 20 years and I had done a good job and I had 3 kids and it was time, you know, it was time to try something new. So
Good. And what's your next idea of your next book, and what's your goal in life? And now that the kids are a little bit bigger, you want to get back to the law
right.
or yeah.
Well, I actually started a job this year working for a very small law firm called Parkwin Legal, and it is it's just 3 of us actually, and it was started by somebody I went to college with, and somebody who actually I studied in Beijing with all those years back in Princeton.
Sweet. Yeah.
And so I am doing the law now, but it's definitely not the super stressful, you know, super intense world that I was in before. And I plan to continue doing that, but I definitely am still working on writing. So I am on the 3rd draft of my next book, and I'm just trying to figure out kind of what the best path forward will be. Will it be to try to get an agent or publish it on my own? We'll see. It's a work in progress, but I'm pretty excited about it.
And can talk about writing a book, and
Yeah.
someone told me the writing part is the easier part than getting it published, go on the road and selling it.
Yeah.
Can you explain to our listeners and myself what's the difference between self-publishing, because knowing you have the financial know-how, and also on getting an advance from a big publisher. So what's the difference on that if money is not a major issue?
Right. So I think there are 2 totally different paths, and nowadays I think they're both, you know, they're both very well represented in terms of good books. So the traditional publication route is you get an agent, and that is pretty difficult. Once you get an agent, your agent will then send your book to publishers, and you hope that a publishing house will pick it up. And I did try for about a year to get an agent for this novel, and a lot of agents, I think I had about 20 agents read the book, and they did give me positive feedback, but I think it was also, they weren't sure how to sell it, because it is a very specific demographic. It's like a 40-something-year-old Asian American woman. You know, it's not the easiest book to sell, I imagine, to a big publishing house. And then I kept seeing stories of people who would get agents, but then in the end their book didn't get picked up. And I thought, well, I can spend the next couple years still trying along this path, or because I really believed in this book, I can publish it myself. I can see how well it does, and then I can move on to the next book. So that's what I ended up doing. And nowadays, self-publishing it's very, very easy in terms of the logistics. Like, you just have to have your files, you know, set up properly, and then you can, you know, print them through Amazon or through Ingram Sparks or Barnes & Noble. I think the hardest part definitely is getting word out, getting people to read it, because it's so easy to actually publish a book now. That means that there are so many books out there, and so the hard part is having people look at your book that you wrote, and hoping that it connects with readers. And I think Mathey Girls really has been connecting with readers so far, so I think it's been doing pretty well since it came out in May, and I'm very excited about that.
So how do you take care, and I know it sounds a silly question, but I've always made my own money, so I always wonder how women of your strength and your stubbornness, because I know your family, I know the whole family is stubborn, so suddenly lose your own economic, of course you have some savings, you always have your father to go back on, but how do you deal with the daily not having money, and I mean, I'm sure you have money, but how do you do that? You have to ask your husband for money when you want to buy something. I know.
Thankfully, no.
Yeah.
I think my husband and I, from the very beginning, we just shared everything. So we never tried to say, this is my money, this is your money.
Okay.
And I think we had to do that, actually, because in the beginning, I was the one working for the law firm, and he was in medical school. And so I didn't actually, leave my big law firm job until he went through medical school. and residency and fellowship and became an attending. So all those years, I think, I was the dominant breadwinner, knowing that he was kind of putting in the time and the work so that someday he would, be able to maybe take over in terms of the financial burden. And so I think with that understanding, I think we just, we view it all as shared, that we put in the work together, and so I don't feel that bad about kind of
good. And how does your
income.
family's faith and trust, because I'm good friends with your whole family, I mean the parental side, affect you're kind, you're generous, you're very humble. How do you think their culture, both on the Asian side and the American side, and their know-how in business and organizational skills affect you as a human being, as a mother and as a writer and as a lawyer?
It's an extremely deep question. It's an extremely deep question. I think one of the reasons that I was a very good lawyer and am a very good lawyer is not because I'm particularly good at law per se, but it's just because I always do my best. I was raised to kind of always try my hardest and not let people down, and so to always rise to the occasion. And I think that has kind of carried me through my life, and it's carrying me through writing. Like, I'm putting everything into it, promoting the book, I'm putting everything into it. And I don't know if that is, a Chinese characteristic or an immigrant characteristic, or even just a kind of faith-based, we are honest and we do what we can to make things good kind of thing. But I think that all contributed to who I am as a person, for sure.
Good. And I don't know if you have read The Artist's Way. I love that book about how an artist, lawyers are artists, medical doctors are artists, nurses, you are a writer, of course is an artist. What's your daily schedule with three, especially when they were young, you have to wake them up. So how do you find time to write and then cook and clean? Not that you have to go, what's your daily life like?
Right.
Becoming a writer.
Yeah, I think that the reason why I couldn't write until after I quit my job is literally because there was no way I was going to be able to juggle it all. I was having a hard enough time juggling work and kids. I'm sure you know. But now, as a writer, I think I try not to put pressure on myself in terms of the writing, because, my kids are definitely my priority. My family is my priority. So I make sure that is all happening. And then I am not
That was your mom.
Yes, that's true. That is definitely my mom.
Right.
Yeah.
So sweet.
And I'm very grateful for that. Yeah. And so I think for the writing, I don't believe that you have to sit in a chair and write for 4 hours every day. Like, that's what Stephen King kind of recommends. And I do think you have to think about it a lot, and you have to put your heart into it when you're doing it. And so I let myself take whatever time I need before I write to think about what I need to do and then do it. I guess the good thing is, being a lawyer, there's a certain self-discipline I've cultivated in terms of, if I'm in front of a computer and I need to write, I can usually make myself do it. But I don't try to force it every day. I kind of do it when I can and when I feel like I'm ready.
Do you use paper and pencil? If so, what's your brand of paper? What's your brand? I love to watch writers.
Right.
Or do you directly from your mind go into the computer, and do you hand plot, write something down and type it? What's your thinking writing process?
So my thinking writing process is very much a mix. So I think it is easier for me to kind of brainstorm and think big picture with a pen and paper. And I wish I brought my notebook. There's a very specific brand of notebook that I get from Target, and it's like $5. And I have bought maybe 30 of these notebooks over time. I love them so much. I just keep buying these same notebooks. And then when I actually write, I write it on the computer. But I have found that when I edit, it's better if I print out the pages still and then hand mark them up, which might be because I'm a lawyer and that's how I was used to doing it before. But it ends up being kind of a mix of medium.
Okay. And can you describe, and I'm sorry we didn't have your notebook, I use the $1.99 one.
Okay.
But I like the thick, but I'm like you, I have a special way I rubber band the pages so I don't have to waste time flipping.
Right.
So how does your notebook help you? And do you also put your other ideas in a notebook, like what time your kid went to bed and stuff, or just the book ideas?
Yeah, so I have the work notebook from my law job, the writing notebook, and in that I put all of the writing stuff, including if I go to an author's talk, I'll take notes in there. So that world is in that notebook. And then I have a journal at night for things for what my kids do. And so that's kind of how I organize my brain.
And then do you carry a big bag with 3 notebooks in there? What happened? Have you ever lost one? Yeah.
No, so I don't carry it around. I think when I travel, I will carry a notebook around to kind of jot down ideas. But otherwise, if I have ideas and I don't have a notebook, I'll just use my phone. I do keep a running list of the books I read, and I thought I accidentally erased that note on my phone, and I was devastated because I had been doing that since like 2019, and so I was like, no, 6 years of it. But I found it in my trash. Somehow I'd accidentally deleted it, and I was so relieved. But no, I've never lost one of the notebooks that I use.
Nice. And have you ever gone to these weekly writers' conference? And if so, how do you enjoy it? And is it disruptive, or do you miss your family?
Oh, you mean like a writer's retreat?
Yeah.
I have not been able to go to a writer's retreat. I think maybe when the kids get a bit older, that's something that I will explore. But right now, I'm fairly tied to home. So I've gone to writers' conferences that are in Cleveland and kind of day-long events, and it is very restorative to be around other book people and people who love to write and read, and I do enjoy it when I can. Yeah.
I envy you to have the courage to say, I'm quitting, I'm stopping. It's not just the money and the paychecks or the bonus. It's more that a power place, I am a lawyer. I am who I am. I'm not just a wife or a mother or a writer, I mean, especially for us Chinese, I can't imagine becoming a writer. People assume that we're so poor, we're so nothing, I know, I'm Chinese, but, we're Chinese, but you're second generation, you didn't have to work. I tell my kids the same thing, the way we had to struggle.
Yes.
So how does your husband take in all this? I mean, does he mind that suddenly my wife became just a wife or just a mother?
Right. I wish he could tell you himself. I think he's very, very supportive. So he is definitely let me do this, and he's very supportive. I think it is a little scary to him that all of a sudden he is, the dominant breadwinner by far, because writing is not a lucrative kind of thing. You don't do it for money, right? You do it because you love writing.
But at least you're published.
Yes. And it's doing well, so I'm very grateful for that. But he's very supportive, and I guess because we weren't the traditional couple for that many years when I was working and he was still in school, that I think he is okay with how it's kind of flipped around now, which is good. Yeah.
So in your home, do you have a home office, or do you just have a place in the kitchen where you just scramble to write and think?
So I used to have a nook that was my writing nook, and that has now been taken over by my eldest daughter because she plays the double bass, and the double bass is like the ginormous, and it takes up so much space. So we let her have that little nook because the littler kids don't run in there and mess with her instrument. So now I use the dining room table as my office where I do my work and where I do my writing. But so far it's okay, actually. I don't mind. It means I have a really big space to work with.
Good. And you also said earlier you came back to the practice of law with 3 people. So what kind of law do you practice, and how do you juggle early morning writing or late night writing? What's your juggling process?
Right, so it is a mix because it's a new small firm and it does general corporate things. So it's kind of been all over the place, the type of things I've been looking at. Some employment, some privacy stuff, The nice thing is that the lawyer I work with is based in California, and so he's on California time, and a lot of the clients actually are based in China still. And so there's not the immediate, I wake up at 9 o'clock, I have to send something in at 9:30, that kind of thing. So usually my mornings are pretty calm, and that's when I can do some good writing work before, California catches up.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's awesome. Is there anything else you want to add about your life, about who you are? Because I find you very exciting and interesting, so I would like people to get to know you more.
I don't know. I feel like if you're curious, you should definitely check out the book.
Oh my gosh,
I think
yes,
the book
please.
is, I'm very proud of the book, and I feel like the readers that have read it have given me very good feedback, and I'm very excited about that. And one thing I will say is I call it book club fiction because it's the kind of book where you can read it and talk with your friends about it. And I have started visiting book clubs, And so if you have a book club and you read it, I will come talk to you guys about it. It's been very fun when I've been doing that so far.
Oh, that would be nice. And one of the advice I could give you as a mother and grandmother is when I used to give presentations about the practice, about the law, I would bring my kids so they see what mom does. It's not just sitting there on the phone and yelling and screaming. You know, there is a way us lawyers work or writers work.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's nice. It's good to keep in mind. They definitely see me, I think, because I work at the dining table. They probably see more of me now than before when I worked in an office for the law stuff. But yeah, I definitely want to set an example for them as well.
That'd be awesome. And please say hello to your dad and your whole family.
Yeah,
and your
I
sister.
I saw my dad last night and told him you said hi. So.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Yes, good.